Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Each week, our hosts will be interviewing local, regional, and national business leaders to give you an inside peek into how they lead their business to success in the ever-competitive business climate.
Welcome to Monday Morning Coffee with Inside the Firm. Today I have a very special young guest. Jason VanDevere left his family's 9-figure business to pursue his own entrepreneurial dreams. He created the Goal Crazy Planner, generating over $1 million in sales and serving 40,000 plus customers through products, workshops, and coaching programs. Jason also built a $3.5 million real estate portfolio and authored Dream Driven, guiding aspiring entrepreneurs to create their ideal lifestyle. He hosts the Goal Crazy podcast and is a devoted husband and father of 3. Jason, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Lance.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask you the question I ask everybody else, but it's sort of in a different way. I know you got here, you walked away from the family business, that's what my children are doing. So maybe I should share this episode with them. They have no interest in any of my businesses, which is just fine.
Yeah.
But why did you walk away? What inspired you to then still continue the entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah. I could tell my dad is a car dealer. So that's the dealership was the family business. They have 5 dealerships here in Akron, Ohio. And my dad just loves the car business. And my great grandpa had it. My grandpa had it. Like they love the business. And working there, I was working in all the different departments so I could learn the whole business. But I knew I would never have that same level of love for the business that he did. And I wanted it. I could see it was there. And I wanted to own my own business. So it was hard to turn that down because I was on this track to have a business. My skill sets naturally aligned with the car business market. But I just knew I wasn't going to find it there. So once I found that, it gave me the confidence. Maybe confidence wasn't the right word, but it gave me the idea to go somewhere else.
And then are there brothers and sisters that filled the place that you left? Was dad mad? Really curious about this.
Yeah, so luckily there's other family members. I'm one of 6 kids, and my dad and my uncle are business partners in this business. And my uncle Mike has 8 kids. So there are plenty of other VanDeveres to keep going with the family business. So yeah, it wasn't like letting it completely die.
Yeah.
But it was just a hard conversation to have because it was just assumed I was going to go into it. Me and my dad are very similar. So I think for him, it was almost hard to hear, like, why don't you love it like I do?
I know.
Like, you're good at it. You're doing well. You're similar to me. So it was a hard conversation, but he has absolutely supported me now that I've left.
Right. And your success, is obviously something to be admired. I hopefully even for your dad, I would be so proud of you if my son did what you did. After walking away from what I've tried to set up for these and my daughter, I'm like, if they go their own way and do the entrepreneurial thing, it's just not usual. Also, it's like amazing that I find that like a lot of folks that I talk to who have become entrepreneurs or business owners, it's a reaction. I'm certainly one of those to folks, growing up in a family where they weren't, and it's like this sort of a contrarian thing. So I applaud you for continuing in your own way. It's fantastic. A lot of people that listen to the show, and then obviously I think you're the perfect person to ask for this, is because you went off on your own as opposed to continuing that legacy. Is like, if people listening to this show want to start their own business, they just find the entrepreneur word, the stature, the freedom it brings, and all of that. If they find it so appealing, they're like I just got to try it once in my life. What is their first step for finding a great business idea? And then also making sure that business idea is good enough to pursue.
Yeah. I think it's clarifying what you want to do with your life. Like my first business really helped people nail that question down, or that Goal Crazy planner. But once you can get clear on here's the dream lifestyle I want, here's the business I would absolutely love to have. It's like once you have this lifestyle, then you can create the business to be the means to create that. I'll tell people your business should be the means, not the end, right? Like it should be the end should be the lifestyle, the business should be the means. If you flip-flop those and it's like all I want to do is launch a business, then lots of times people succeed in that, but then their work overtakes their life. And they're working a ton and they're not happy anymore and they're not experiencing the freedom that they initially want. So I would clarify, what's the dream lifestyle you want? A habit that I have kind of silly habit, but I schedule dreaming into my day every day. I take 10 minutes, pace around in my basement, listen to some uplifting music, and just dream about the life that I want. And by doing that, I get so clear on this is what I want to do with my life because starting a business is hard. It is really hard. Even when I was doing something I loved, it was hard. And if I didn't have a fire inside of me to do it, I would have probably quit as soon as it started to get hard. So clarify the life that you want and then figure out what's going to light that fire for you.
I love that. It couldn't be more clear than that. I totally agree. You're if you're doing it backwards where it's the business is pulling you around by the nose and leading you where you want to, where it wants to be versus where you want to be 100% it. I think this is a myth that a lot of I'm glad you're talking about that in this vein is like that's our job. That's one of the points of this podcast and having folks like you on who I am very much aligned with that too. I get this question all the time from people that are like, how do you do all the things you do? You have multiple businesses. How do you still like fish incessantly and hike in the mountains and do these other things? And I'm like, it's all about it. My businesses are a means to the end for that,
Mhm.
and that's really the channel we're trying to go through. So I hope everybody listening is realizes like, yeah, it's cool to have the businesses and you success and making money and being free from the anxiety of not having money through that and all of that. But really, at the end of the day, I think the best and most free entrepreneurs, the ones that are most happy that I've interviewed, just like you, are looking at that end goal. I love the 10-minute exercise of dreaming. I do it for much longer time periods of time up in the
That's great.
hills. But that's fantastic. Well, what do you think then some are mistakes that people might be making when they choose the business idea? And then how does your 3L framework help them avoid them?
hmm So those three L's are going to help somebody clarify, is it something that they really want to do with their life? So I'm going to answer this in two parts because I think there's like clarifying, is this what I want to do? Does it light the fire inside of me? But then after you clarify, yes, it lights the fire inside of me, you still have to validate it's a good idea,
Hmm.
right? So the three L's, do you have a longing to make it happen? Is it going to lift you? And what I mean by that is it going to make you a better version of yourself? Kind of like people might have heard that Tony Robbins quote, it's not about the goal, it's about becoming the person who can achieve the goal. Like when I'm starting a new venture for my business, I want it to be something that'll force me to improve. If I already know how to accomplish it right now, then that's not even really a goal. It's more of a to-do list item, right? Like it should stretch me. And then the third thing is it light? So I'll work
Mm.
with people and go through. I kind of rapid fire through those, and we can dive deeper into them. But I want it to be they've got a longing, deep desire to make it happen. Their desire should be greater than any of the challenges that are going to arise.
Hmm.
Uh, it's going to help them become a better version of themselves. And then just this internal feeling: does this feel light or does it feel heavy? And a lot of times people have these great ideas, like the dealership for me. It felt heavy, even though it was like this is a straight path to success. This was the golden ticket
Hmm.
most people would kill for to
Hmm.
become a successful car dealer of new car dealerships in our town. But it felt really heavy versus stepping into the unknown of launching this planner business that everyone said was the craziest idea. It felt light, even though I had no clue what I was doing. Uh, but then once you do that, you do need to validate it's a good business idea. And I can talk about if it's helpful, some of the ways I've done that and helped others do that.
Well, yeah, it's sort of you're leading into my next question, which is like you have these ideas,
Mhm,
it's pulling you, like you said.
mhm,
It's maybe it checks all three. It feels light and there's a passion inside and you just gotta do it. Um, so the question is, but I want to also throw out like a phrase that I've just been going over in my head, a quote actually about the
okay.
last 2 weeks. It's just been so powerful. Because that's what happens to me and any entrepreneur is like you have an idea and you're like, oh, this idea, and the quote is good ideas will assail you with such velocity you are defenseless. Right? So then
Hmm,
right? If you so
mhm,
good business ideas will assail you with such velocity you are defenseless. And then
mhm,
it's like, okay, I feel defenseless because I'm pulled so far. So what then are maybe some of the easiest ways to validate that business idea as a winner before you
mhm.
spend money and time launching it?
Yeah. So, four ways that I've gone about it. And I'm going to use so my first business I launched after leaving the dealership was this planner business. I designed a planner. Uh, One of the first ways I validated is I hosted focus groups. So I would get groups of random people together to try out that design and make sure it worked. And those were super painful. Like the first one was scheduled to be an hour long. I thought somebody recommended it to me. I thought like this is
Mm-hmm.
a silly idea. I'm just going to give people the design. They're going to tell me it's great. But
Mm-hmm.
it went 3 hours long and we didn't even make it through the whole design. People were like, this is confusing. I don't get what I'm doing here. This is too much writing. It's repetitive, whatever. But that was so helpful. So I kept doing these focus groups again and again until I got it nailed down. Another variation that would be beta testers, people to try things out. Like before I launched my book, I had 42 beta readers who don't really know me, but they were in my target market. They use my planner, so they know what I'm about, but they read it and gave me feedback chapter by chapter. And I think you need to prove that it's a quality product or service, whether that's with focus groups or some sort of beta testers. But then you also need to prove that people are willing to pay for it. And I think the best ways to do that are pre-selling whatever you're gonna try and sell, right? Like I pre-sold my planner before I ever launched it. I've pre-sold courses, coaching programs before I spent the time to design it to make sure it's worthwhile to actually design. Other things I have done to prove that there was a demand for it are surveys. Um, if you have a big audience, that's pretty easy. If you don't, I've used websites like PickFu. I don't know if you've heard of them, but there's websites out there that for inexpensive, couple $100, you can interview a decent size range of people.
I love that. Yeah. How did you get the focus groups? Like how did you find the people to do the focus groups?
Yeah, so I'm probably slightly misusing the word focus groups because these were people who did know me, but these were friends and family is what I
Oh,
started
okay.
with. One of them was a business owner and he let me come into his he had a staff of maybe like 12 people. So other than the business owner himself, nobody else knew me. But otherwise, I was just getting groups of maybe like 4, 5, 6 people together to go through the design. And it was super interesting because I would get together with friends who were my ideal target customer and I would take them out for a coffee. I would show them my design and ask for feedback. And everyone would be like, Jason, this looks great. When's it going to launch? Right? Maybe they would have like some small little tweaks. But if I took that same person and put them in a focus group, they would tear the whole design apart. Like, this is confusing. I don't know why this is there. Something about being in that group environment gave them permission to share their genuine feedback.
Yeah. How does that play then into like where I'm going next is which a lot of people are like, where do I get my first customers? And
Mhm.
if you don't have an audience or a following, I mean, you're purely starting up. We had our own methodology for it, and we've talked about it at length on the Friday show. But I'm curious what you could give is just sort of general advice for people listening that applies
Mhm.
to almost maybe any business.
Yeah. So I would say, like, if you have no audience, probably two things I would do is one, you probably have a bigger audience than you think. Like, pull
Hmm.
up your phone. How many contacts do you have in there? Probably over 1,000. Like when I'm launching this book, I'm I've been texting hundreds of people to let them know I've got a book, right? Like I made an Excel sheet of over 800 people I knew well enough to just say like, buy my book. Uh, they probably have that. Whether they're asking them to buy, hey, do you want this service? Do you know somebody who would? But then I'm a big fan of influencer marketing, just like how I'm on this podcast. I would want, if you're going to start a business, think who has already built the audience of your target customers
Mhm.
for you, right? If you already have it, that's great. But if not, somebody else probably did. And how can you get in front of them? Like right now with my book, I'm going on podcasts like this. When I was launching my planner, I went on podcasts, all these different YouTube channels. I found influencers or people who had workshops and I would come in and offer a free workshop and I would let people use my planner and I could then tap into their audience for free by delivering value. So, and that's kind of might sound super relevant for online businesses, but like I've worked to get my businesses in news outlets. Uh, I'm sure if you're a local business, there's probably news organizations, magazines that your target audience is already reading or watching. How can you get in there?
Yeah, I think that is fantastic advice, right? It's like your audience is bigger than you probably think, which maybe also applies to mentors, right? And
Mhm.
finding them and maybe right when you're starting, you can't afford to get it. You can't afford to hire the business coach, somebody like me or Al, or maybe even you. So is it sort of the same thing? Maybe how you can get them for free, or just like taking, people who own businesses, just take them out for lunch or something cheap, or just invite them over for dinner. How
Yeah.
yeah, what's your experience?
That I've tried on all the above. I mean, so I break down 8 different ways in my book to do this. The first thing is like, I had a mentor of mine tell me that the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, right? Very logical. So if you want to start a business, the best way to do it is find someone who's already started that business and just ask them how they did it. Boom, there's your straight line, right? So I would kind of make that like number one goal. Once you clarify your business idea, you need to find someone who's already done it. If you have personal connections, then reach out to them, or maybe you know somebody who knows somebody, reach out to them. I've cold called business owners, and asked them for help. Most of the time, they tell me no. Like there was a mobile home park available for sale that I've got real estate, right? So that it caught my attention. I knew nothing about mobile home parks. So I started cold calling other mobile home parks in the area, asking for advice. And almost all of them told me no, but there was maybe 2 or 3 of them who were extremely helpful. They're like, "Oh, we know who services that place. Here's their cell number. Here's what you should look for." Here, they spent a bunch of time with me just because I simply asked. Other things I've done, I'll look for businesses for sale. Like a few years ago when I wanted to grow my email list, I reached out to email lists that were for sale online. And typically that gives you the opportunity to talk with the owner line by line about their business. Now, I wouldn't do anything misleading here. Like I would have a very transparent, hey, I'm deciding, do I want to build this on my own or do I want to buy somebody who's already made this for me? I'm trying to weigh this out. And that way you might find that it's easier to buy something, but it gives you the opportunity to sit down with a business owner and go line by line often through their business. So couple strategies. There's more in my book and we can keep going, but I think those are some good places to
Those
start
are
with.
great. Yeah, those are fantastic. I know we've tried pretty much every one that you've described too, and they pay off in sort of different ways because it's a different audience. So I appreciate that. Entrepreneurship is it's obviously challenging. It's like one of the hardest things you'll ever do. It's like building a house. It's like getting married or getting a divorce. It's like having children. All of that kind of stuff. And oftentimes we're solopreneurs, right? I have a business partner. I'm very thankful that I have that because I hold him accountable and he holds me accountable. But if you are a solopreneur in particular, how do you hold yourself accountable, to take actions, and even when they might, push your comfort?
Mhm. I think if you have those mentors, that does help a lot. Like if I was gonna get together with you and tell you about my book, or I did this for my planner, it was like I'd reach out to people and ask them, "Hey, can you get a coffee with me to look at my planner design?" Before I had my planner designed. Now I created a deadline for myself. So I think the mentors, that's definitely gonna help. A tool that I've made that's part of the Goal Crazy planner I sell. I'm gonna do my best to explain this here, but people don't need a fancy planner. They can do this with a note card. But I make a scorecard for myself of what my ideal day would look like. So it's kind of like your successful behaviors lead to your successes, right? Very logical. Your unsuccessful behaviors will lead to your failures. So after I set goals for myself, I want to figure out what are the successful behaviors I need to be doing every single day that's going to move me towards that goal. And I
Mhm.
make a list of 10 of these things on a note card. In a way, this is my ideal day. Here are the 10 successful behaviors I do every day. And every night I go through this and it matches up. If you have the planner, it'll walk you through this, but I'll go through number 1. Did I do that? Check. Yes. Number 2, did I do that? No. Number 3, did I do that? And I'll give myself a grade. And it's just an easy way to hold myself accountable. I know if I do these 10 things every day, I'm going to get to my goals. My successful behaviors lead to my successes. So all I need to do is make sure I do them every single day. And I'm going to real quick tie this back to your mentors. Like when I'm getting together with a mentor,
Mhm.
I often will ask them, what should I be doing every day? Or what are the successful behaviors I need to be doing every single day? And then I'll put it on my note card. But I don't want to just guess what are the successful behaviors. And I want to make sure they're tried and true.
How many of those folks that you've talked to, and maybe the answer will be 100%, I hope it is, and then have told you about, you talk about habits and discipline and that sort of thing. And I find that it's ever about the morning. I mean, the morning
Oh,
is
yeah.
like so critical to your day. Tell us about yours.
Yeah, probably like half of the things on my note card are normally morning related. Get up on my first alarm, workout, pray, journal, spend time with my kids. It makes everything else easier
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yours is very similar to mine. My children are old now, and they don't play. Instead, I have to wake them up. But man, so many successful people. It's just, there's like four or five things that are super common every single time. It's like
Mhm,
get up, drink of water, wake up with the sun, meditate, or pray,
mhm.
exercise, reconvene with the family. Just everybody listening, like I don't know how many times they have to hear it from somebody like me or Jason, that just how critical that is if you're going to be a hyper successful person in the entrepreneur sphere. Um, which kind of leads to, I get the question. I just got the question again. My friend who comes down and visits me several times a year, or sorry, once every couple of years, and we talk and stuff like that, is he's like, "How many hours a week do you work?"
Mhm.
And I tell him, for me, running three businesses essentially, construction, architecture, real estate. Construction is very demanding. It's just there's almost no way around it. And to do a very high quality job, you're going to have to go visit those sites and do the detail stuff. Delegating it is sort of dangerous in a way, even though you are subbing everything out. And what I tell them is like 40 to 50 hours a week, and they're shocked.
Mhm.
Um, but you talk about maybe creating a business that takes only 30 hours or less peak per week to run. Tell us about that, and what are some of the strategies that you could do to make that happen?
Yeah. And I think like if you don't want a business that works for 30 hours a week, then don't do it, right? Like this is the beauty of entrepreneurship is you have this opportunity to create something however you want. So don't go turn it into a job that you're a slave to that you hate, right? Like clarify this is the lifestyle. So I think for me, taking the time to define right at the beginning, this is the lifestyle I want, then that was my compass when I'm making decisions. Is this going to create that lifestyle for me or not? And once you clarify, like I think everybody should have working hours. Sometimes when somebody's just starting a business, they think that's like a silly concept. It's like you need to have office hours for your clients. Here's the hours, and people are afraid to do that. But if you give your clients the expectations up front, most of the time that works just fine for people, right? It's like, look, you can't call me at 12 a.m. I'm not going to answer my phone, right? Here's the office hours, and now the expectation is clear. But this isn't going to be super applicable to everybody, but I would tell you that my kids and my wife are what has also made me successful. It's
Mhm.
like when I didn't have a wife and kids, I was working to try and have these office hours, but it was so easy to just work all night, right? Because what else am I going to do? I was
Yeah.
single and I was hungry to make my business succeed. But because I have a wife and kids, that's not an option. I have a timer that goes off 4:45 p.m. I need to be out helping my wife with our kids. There's no negotiation out with her. So it's like I have to learn to be extremely productive in the hours of time that I have because I have a commitment to my family that will trump anything else for my business. And that's what's allowed me to be more successful because when you're forced to be more productive, you are. When you're focusing on high payoff things, things work better. So I don't know if that's relatable to everybody. I think it's going back to that lifestyle thing. But sometimes, like entrepreneurs, or maybe people think your kids or your family life is going to be in the way of you being a successful entrepreneur. My perspective is like that hasn't been at all the case.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been able to have a successful business because I'm a father and husband, and
Yeah.
because I put that as priority.
Same. I agree. It makes you grow up real quick. When I was
Mhm,
21, I had my first child. It made me grow up, and then
mhm.
I think that beget a lot of me getting into a morning routine, being disciplined, being focused. It was very much driven by like I got mouths to feed. I need to succeed. It has to happen, and I only have a limited time to do it because
Mhm.
of the demands of starting a very young family. I think a lot
Yeah.
of people fail at it, single or not, because they are not disciplined with the intentionality of their time. You have
Mhm.
to be just extremely disciplined with the intentionality of your time. And I think your planner is certainly a facilitator of that. For me, it's like Google Calendar and keeping track of tasks in there that I need to be done.
Can I
And
add something in real
yeah,
quick
yeah.
there? Sorry. Because you're going about the morning routine, which huge believer in. For me, where that almost starts is I call it my end of workday routine. Like you have probably everybody has an end of day routine, but
Hmm.
it's an end of workday routine. So 10 minutes before I'm going to be done working, I have another timer go off. Not everybody has to use timers
Yeah.
as strangely as I do, but I do an end of workday routine where I clean my office. It helps me mentally separate. I journal about my day and I plan out the next day. I plan out my next workday. So that way I don't have things lingering in my mind like, oh,
Yeah.
I still have to send that email. It's like, no, no, no. I have a written plan of when I'm going to get that done tomorrow. And it helps me disconnect at the end of the day I can go be present with my family. My mind is off the grid, and then I'm already had my day planned out for tomorrow to be successful. But if I don't do those things, it's easy to like after the kids go to bed, I'm gonna try and send an email, then I stay up late, then I click snooze. All the dominoes fall in the wrong way, right?
And you need your rest. Oh my gosh, I
Yeah.
really can't. Yeah, like this is a whole harmonious thing you're trying to tackle in your life when you take this entrepreneurial journey. I do the same thing, but in a different way. I will
Mhm.
pre-schedule emails that I need to look at. Like I will look at them. If I can't get to them at the end of the day, it's like, fine, I'm just going to forward it to myself on a scheduled timer, and it will send it to me at 5 a.m. And then it's a what you're practicing too is I don't know if you've ever done meditation. I do much
Mhm.
like
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I pray every morning. That's part of my routine. But I used to meditate, and one of the things that it did for me is that it taught me that it's not about like clearing your mind where you don't think about anything. It's that you are seeing a problem and you're going, I see you, and then you can move it out. And I've moved that into reality with like the
Mhm.
scheduling of emails and everything like that to where I'm like, okay, I see you at the end of the day. I do not want you to enter my sphere as I have supper with my children and wife or do whatever I'm doing at night, getting my proper rest. And then I know it's out of sight, out of mind until when I need it to be at the next point of departure
Mhm.
and interception. Well, and failure, so there's the failure of like being disciplined, intentionality with time and all of that good stuff. Most businesses fail within the first 7 years. What are those common traits that you've seen for the ones that succeed and they avoid that?
Yeah. So for myself and the people I've interviewed on my own podcast, it comes back to their business was connected to a dream of theirs. Like there was a
Mm.
desire to make this happen. And because when I started my business, several other friends were starting their businesses at the same time, and many of them failed. And it was like the people who went out trying to find the perfect product to sell online and sell it that they hated e-commerce, they didn't have any passion for the product, and we all ran into challenges, but then they quit because why would they keep going if they don't even enjoy it? So I feel like it's having the passion behind your product because that's going to give you the energy to weather the storm. Something that's also personally helped me to get through it is as I was growing my e-commerce business, I was also investing in real estate. And real estate is very tried and true. I could just rely on that income. Like when we had kids, my wife quit her job. So I kind of wanted to structure our life like we can live on our rental properties. I've been blessed that my e-commerce business does well, but there's times it does great, and I think I'm a business genius, and there's times it's just I can't get things figured out, and it's like I have no clue what I'm doing. But real estate is so consistent. So I don't know. I feel like that gave me confidence. I could borrow from one hand, can pay the other with two businesses to pull from. However, I would say the negative of that is the biggest distraction of growing my e-commerce business has been my real estate. And the biggest distraction of growing my real estate bigger has been my e-commerce business. So, but again, this is the lifestyle that I decided for myself
Mhm.
is the real estate also lights a fire inside of me. So it's giving me the opportunity to do both.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Let's move into you mentioned the book a few times, and it's right in the back of your background for everybody's watching on YouTube. Dream Driven. It's got a big, beautiful light bulb on it. Tell us about the book. What is a dream driven business, and how is your approach unique compared to other ones?
Yeah. So the business helps somebody do three things. First, it's going to help them figure out the business idea their perfect business idea, how to validate it's a winner, and then how to launch it this year. Uh, But I kind of break down in the first chapter these two approaches to business. One is I call it the easy money approach, where you're figuring out what business will earn me the most money, the easiest. Uh, or the dream driven approach is what's connected to a dream of mine that's going to light a fire inside of me. It's like just like you interviewing all these entrepreneurs, I have this belief that any business can be turned successful with the right strategies. I've met the most random businesses that people have turned. Like I met somebody who teaches people to do nothing. He teaches them to meditate, and he earns a couple hundred grand a year doing it, and more than supports his lifestyle. And it's beautiful. But
Hmm.
it's like rather than scouring the market for this perfect product or this perfect service, it's like what if you scour your heart for what's going to light the fire inside of you? So that's the dream driven approach is it's something that lights fire in you and it's connected to the dream lifestyle that you want. And I would kind of define if you have a minute, I know we,
Yeah.
we might be running up on time, but how I kind of view dreams versus goals is goals, everybody knows they should be something realistic. It should be clear. It should have a deadline attached to it. For me,
Tangible.
dreams, though, they don't need to be realistic. It's just a dream. They could
Hmm.
be unrealistic as owning a house in every single state to as realistic as owning one house. Like you just let your mind wander of what would you love to do with your life. And when you have dreams, then you can create goals that align with those dreams. But if you don't have dreams, you can still have goals, but they're not aiming at anything. They lack meaning. And when your goals don't have any meaning because they're not aiming at anything bigger than themselves, people end up in what I call survival mode where they're just trying to stay afloat. They're just trying to survive. But when you have these dreams, and if you can implement that daily routine of dreaming every day, then you can get clear on here's my dreams. Then you can set goals that are aligning to those dreams. And then rather than being in survival mode, you can live from purpose. It can give you energy. So I think it's what makes it different is it's helping somebody answer the question, what do you want to do with your life? Because once you can get clarity on that,
Yeah.
everything else in my experience becomes easier.
When you're just surviving, you're drained. It just sucks the energy. I'm glad you sort of made that contrast, and I just want
Mhm.
to emphasize it for our listeners is like that the purpose is energy. Like there's a fire in your belly that I mean is very much aligned with your soul at that point, right? And then you start to, and especially if you're a person of, if you try to be a person of God, boy, then it really aligns for you, right? And then we tie all the way back to the morning routine, intentionality, and all the other good stuff. Jason, you have been one of the most phenomenal guests we've had on all year. I
I
mean
don't
that
know.
mean that genuinely. I'm serious. We have a lot of guests. So I'm so glad that I was able to get you on the show. And I have two questions I ask everybody as we run up on the half hour. First one is knowing what you know now, what is one piece of advice you'd give yourself before, if you could go back in time before you started your business?
This is kind of a technical piece of advice, but I think for a long time I viewed my e-commerce business as this is where I view money, and real estate is how that's where I create an asset. And that was the wrong approach. I think the
Hmm.
whole time, not I should have been viewing my e-commerce business as an asset. The audience is the asset. That's what I've
Yeah,
learned more and more. It's like building an audience is incredible. The asset is not the book, the planner, the courses. The asset is the audience. So that was a mistake that I didn't put effort into growing an email list or asset for just I had more opportunity to do it.
yeah, I love that. If people want to get in touch with you, if they want to pick up the planner, they want to pick up the book, if they want to just follow you, where can they follow you, get in touch about your services, all the good stuff?
Yes. So my website is goalcrazy.com, and that's goal like a soccer goal. Okay, don't go crazy, goal crazy. If they go to Amazon and search Dream Driven, that's the name of my book, they can find it there. My podcast is also Goal Crazy. I am willing to offer them, if they want to take advantage of the course that starts out my planner that helps somebody answer that question, what do you want to do with their life? They can get it for free if they go to goalcrazy.com/course. They can get that. And like if they sign me on as a coach, basically that course gives them the questions I would be asking them. So they can just take themselves through it. I've sold that exact course to over 40,000 people. Like you can get it for free right now. Take advantage of it and help yourself get the clarity on what do you want to do with your life.
Love that. Love that so much. I'm going to try to connect with you on LinkedIn. And I just want to say again, thanks for sharing everything. Wish you much success, buddy. And can't wait to see where you go in the future. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Lance. It's been a pleasure.